The crypto markets are extremely shaky once again, and a number of crypto assets, including Atom, were just declared a security by the SEC for the first time in history. But let's start with what the SEC put out on June 5th against Binance, which is basically that they're charging them for violating security laws multiple times. So they're charging Binance Holdings, BAM Trading, and BAM Management, which is, I think, their US segment, and CZ himself, right? And I don't want to go into detail here. I also haven't read the full report because also my general opinion about all this is that it's absolutely ridiculous and absolutely embarrassing what the SEC is doing here, right? So that's just on a high level. But let's focus on Cosmos for a second. Here they're also saying that Atom is a security along with many other cryptocurrencies, right? But since this is a Cosmos focused channel, let's look into Cosmos here for a second. What they're actually doing here is they're just outlining as of their best understanding, and you can really tell that they have not put in a lot of research into this. So they're trying to explain what Cosmos and the Cosmos Hub is. Here there's, for example, saying that it's a central blockchain that provides services to other blockchains, including the largest interchain token exchange, shared security through interchain security, bridges to Ethereum and Bitcoin, and secure custodianship of digital assets. So you can really tell, like, they probably just opened the cosmos.network website and just copy pasted what they could find there. But it's not really well researched, you can tell. And here they're also basically saying that the Interchain Foundation, they're also mentioning here All in Bits, the company of Jay Kwan, and New Tendermint, which is extremely surprising because New Tendermint, I don't really actually know what they're doing, but apparently they're a core contributors to Cosmos as of the SEC, which is extremely surprising. And I'm in Cosmos now for 3 years, basically full time at this point, or 2.5, 3 years. So it's really weird, but that's what they're saying, right? And here they're specifically telling how Atom is on Binance, and therefore Binance is basically selling or providing access to unregistered securities, which apparently is what Atom is, and again, along with many other cryptocurrencies. But if you read that through, you can really tell, like, this is not really well researched. There's not much substance to it, and I don't know about the other cryptocurrencies. I'm obviously not deeply following all of these, but they're attacking a variety of them. This one, for example, here's Phil, the Filecoin token. So I don't know. I mean, it's very vague. Matic is also affected, right? Polygon, even Solana, Cardano, right? They're all securities now. So that's what they put out on the 5th. And what they then put out as well, just a day later, is charges against Coinbase. So Coinbase also now has to deal with the SEC and with Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC, who has absolutely no clue what he's even talking about. And we're going to look into some of the crazy things he said in a second. But here they're basically saying it's not too much against, Brian Armstrong or the core people or the organization as a whole, but more so about their staking products, right? So if you go on Coinbase, you can stake your assets on Coinbase. And they're saying that the Coinbase platform is basically merging this into a centralized product that promises returns, right? And I think that's the catch here, is that they're saying this makes all of their products a security, right? And this also includes staking of Cosmos or Atom. Here they're saying just Atom is Cosmos, which is also, like, you can already tell just by that single thing, they haven't done any research at all. They're saying that here as well with Cosmos staking rewards. I think they refer to the Cosmos Hub because Cosmos is an entirety of 60 chains that are in production that have IBC enabled, and it's the whole ecosystem, right? Cosmos Hub is Atom, which I think is what they're referring to here. But you can just tell, right? Like Cosmos Atom, like, guys, this is, basics, right? So they haven't really done any research. They're just putting out weird stuff. And I will also tell you in a second why they're doing that, right? Because I have a very clear picture of why they are coming out so harsh right now against crypto. Also, what's, I don't know, super unprofessional in my opinion, what they're putting out here is a quote from the Binance chief compliance officer in 2018, when Binance was what, 6-7 months old, when it just got started. You also have to think, when Binance, like these allegations against Binance especially, are from sometime 2018, right? Where Binance was a 5-6 months old startup that just exploded out of nowhere and started at the right time. I think they started in July or something, in late summer of 2017. So they just grew extremely fast. And of course, things, when you grow from 0 to 1,000 in no time, you can't control these things, right? But now the SEC is getting back to this and quotes people from 2018 that don't even work at Binance anymore. But that's what it is. Now, we also have Zaki Manian, who has been a long-term contributor to Cosmos. And he also addressed some of the things from the SEC report, especially from the first one on Binance, where he's saying that the SEC's facts on Atom are pretty poorly researched. SEC claims that atoms were sold in 2017. No one received an atom until April 2019, when the network voted to enable transfers. They also claim that new tenement is a significant contributor to Cosmos. No true contribution has occurred. And further, he's saying that the Howey test requires pooling of resources and value creation solely through the value of others. But in Cosmos' case, dozens of fundraiser participants participated in the Cosmos testnets, launch of the network, and development of IBC. I was not around at the time when they launched the Cosmos Hub, when they did a token sale. From what I've heard is that they have been extremely cautious, also like with the legal representation, right, with the ICF. And I've been in contact now with the ICF for 2 years now, since I joined Cosmos, and they are extremely regulated, right? They have their hands tied. And we always complain that the ICF is not moving fast enough, they're not supporting a lot of these things. But it kind of makes sense if you think that they are forced, especially by US regulators, to play it extremely low key and to not promote too much, because this is what can happen. And still, even though the ICF did not really promote anything, they didn't have large marketing spends, they didn't throw large conferences, right? They still are on the radar of the SEC. And that's very sad, because it goes back that the SEC is not really doing the research, they're just following an agenda. So this is specifically addressing these points. Now, am I worried that Atom is a security now by the SEC? Not at all. I don't care, actually, because I think it's extremely embarrassing. And I'm in Dubai, in Asia, Singapore, Hong Kong. These are the crypto hubs that will absorb these companies, that will absorb the smart people, the smart minds, the big investors, right? They have to get out of the US. If the SEC keeps playing this dumb, poorly researched game, then they're just losing their best people. It's like shooting in their own leg. And they cannot stop crypto. They cannot exclude people from getting access to crypto. They can only exclude access for their own people in their own country and be left behind for innovation, which is extremely sad, and I don't really understand it. But it all makes sense if you think about what is the actual plan of the SEC, right? Why are they writing these hundreds of pages of reports, right? And my guess is that they don't care about investor protection, right? But they are following the agenda to enforce a CBDC, right? Which I call a CBDC shitcoin or shitcoinery, because this is what it eventually is, right? CBDCs are net negative for freedom of speech, and for ownership, right? They are basically, you are in control of the government even more so than you are right now. And I think people really have to understand the danger of CBDCs and how the SEC and the US government and all these people are, obviously they have to enforce and get people scared, get them out of crypto, because they see crypto is picking up. Like, there's a lot of people now also on Twitter, right? Now that Elon took over Twitter, we have a platform that is seemingly getting uncensored, right? We can have free speech on Twitter. We don't get censored. We don't get shadow banned. So I think they just feel that they need to do something fast. And I don't think it's going to take long until we see that the CBDC is being officially announced and rolled out. China's already leading by far. They have to catch up on China, right? So they're just doing it quickly because they know they're late to the party. But it's extremely messy, it's extremely bad, and it's ridiculous, right? Especially for American people. It's really sad and it's really bad. So I really feel bad for you if you're from the US. I can just tell you, come to Dubai. Dubai is open. You can come here. There's legal progress here in terms of crypto regulations. So it's all progressing outside of the US. So again, hubs like Singapore, the UAE, Hong Kong, even Switzerland, right? I think also the UK is opening up. MiCA regulations were just published. So I think there is progress outside of the US, but the US is just trying to hold it back in their own country. What I do think is very funny though, is that this man is still the head of the SEC. I don't understand how he can still lead and run that organization. I'm really puzzled about that because he's just embarrassing the US people, to be honest. And I'm sorry if that sounds weird, but it's absolutely mind-blowing to me how he can still run that organization, right? And he's saying stuff like this: Coinbase alleged failures deprive investors of critical protections, including rule. Bro, I don't know what that means. He's even getting corrected by the people. And then just read the comments. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, you know, and people are having enough, right? Especially we crypto people, we have enough from this, right? And then Coinbase came out and shared some numbers. I really like the way they addressed this and how many times they mentioned staking in their public reports, how many times they met with the SEC in 2022 asking for guidance, 30 times. They reject 90% of the assets that want to list on Coinbase. The Howey test from 1946, which is nuts. Things need to be updated. There needs to be clarity. There needs to be rules. There needs to be a framework. Otherwise, this is not going anywhere, and people are forced to leave the USA. So Coinbase came out, so did, of course, CZ and Binance, and there's now weird rumors and weird stuff about Binance. Obviously, this all is escalating. I'm sure that there are certain things that Binance and Coinbase could have done slower, better, more mindfully, but if there's no one to talk to, like, how would you know what to do, right? And I'll leave you guys with that, which is really the funniest thing that I've seen in this context. It's absolutely crazy. It's nuts, right? Is Gary Top Double G, the man himself, Gary Gensler, shilled Algorand on stage years ago to an audience. Here's the clip.
Sylvia McCally's Algorand, who's a Turing Award winner at MIT that I work with. Sylvia's got a great technology that has the performance you could create Uber on top of it.
So Gary Gensler, the man himself, is promoting unregistered securities to millions of people on stage. This is nuts, right? This clip went viral. Like millions of people have seen this clip. I'm certain that some people bought Algo because of this, right? Because the man himself. And to finally, the most mind-blowing thing is that Gary never ever charged FTX. They never even sued FTX. Like, this is absolutely nuts. And we know that Gary Gensler had close relationships. He received a lot of money from SBF. So he's not going after FTX, which was a scam, an obvious scam. No word about FTX, but against Binance, against Coinbase, the ones that are actually trying to talk to them, but they're being ignored. And this is breaking news that just came in. Binance just came out and said that Gary Gensler offered them to become an advisor. That really hurts. Conclusion. Is this the end for crypto? Of course not, right? First of all, crypto is bigger than the United States of America. Second of all, the SEC is just embarrassing and ridiculous. Third of all, Gary Gensler needs to be fired right away. He needs to get out. There needs to be somebody coming in that is actually competent, that actually spends time researching, that actually has good intentions to regulate the space so we can move forward, right? I do not think that while on paper it's very bullish, obviously, for DEXs and decentralized infrastructure, I still think we need centralized intermediaries to onboard users, to have on and off ramps between the fiat world and the crypto world. So we're still in this gray area, and centralized companies are necessary evils in crypto, right? And many of them are actually honest players, honest market participants, right? I believe Coinbase is one of these. I also believe Binance is one of these. I believe Kraken is one of these, right? So I think they deserve clarity, and there needs to be somebody stepping in the US to provide that, to push that through, to get rid of Gary and to maybe restructure the SEC, or I don't know what it is. But there needs to be clarity, right? And I think in the end of the day, we are still right now at the tail of the bear market. This FUD happens all the time. In 2018, 2019, we had multiple FUDs, right? People declared crypto dead. They declared the technology is not revolutionary, it's too slow, it's too expensive, to this, to that. Guess what? It's here to stay. Atom is here to stay. Atom is not going to die because some SEC poorly researched report is saying that. And even if it was, who cares, right? People are smart enough to move outside, to be in this global world where you're not tied to the US. And they're not protecting their users, they're harming them, right? They're harming their own investors by excluding them from the fastest growing and most innovative industry under the sun. I'll leave you guys with that. If you have more questions, feedback, comments around this topic, let me know. I think it's important, it's interesting, but it's also maybe even overrated, because who cares, right? Crypto is moving on. Crypto is bigger than the opinion of Gary Double G Gensler. Nobody cares. So stay safe, guys. Be good. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.